The Rip City Drive.
Softy, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? Sounds like a smooth running machine down there in Rip City. How are you, pal?
Well, you know the deal. We are a clown show. But I want to start with this, with the draft. I was talking with Rob Ring yesterday, who you know, and he thinks the Hawks are definitely going to go defense at number 5. I know you feel the same way, but he thinks there's a good chance that Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida, could fall all the way to 20 because teams will be hesitant to take a chance on him, especially with GMs whose jobs may be hanging in the balance with the draft. Would you be okay with Seattle selecting Richardson at 20 if he's still around when the Hawks are making their pick?
Well, it just depends on who else is there, obviously, at number 20. I'm not trying to give you a cop-out answer, but who else is available? Like, is Hendon Hooker available? Were there other players that fell to 20 that you did not foresee falling to 20? I mean, I'm not against drafting Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he's a big-time project. He's more of an athlete at this stage of the game than he is a quarterback. And we've talked about that, man, that how much confidence would you have in Shane Waldron to coach this guy up? Because Shane Waldron is basically the head coach of the offense. Pete Carroll's a defensive guy, and as long as he's here, whoever the offensive coordinator is going to be the guy responsible for turning that quarterback into a star. They've done a pretty good job with Geno Smith, pretty good job with the offensive line, with the rookies they had last year with Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, but I don't know. I mean, I just think it's a bit of a risk at number 20 for sure. There weren't a lot of people when the year ended talking about Anthony Richardson being a first-round draft pick, and then all of a sudden he shoots up the draft boards when, not having played a damn football game. So I'm not a big fan of Will Levis. I like Hendon Hooker. I like C.J. Stroud. I like Bryce Young. But you got to tell me who else is there at number 20. I mean, I drafted John Michael Schmitz, the center from Minnesota, in a mock draft this morning with Jalen Carter going at number 5, and that pretty much just kills two birds with two stones right there. I mean, you got massive needs on your defensive line, massive needs on your offensive line, and you may have just drafted two cornerstones if those two guys end up being the pick.
Yeah, you make a good point. I guess, look, I'm not a football coach, Softy, so, but it would seem to me based on...
I am a football coach.
Oh, you
I am. I just moonlight as a radio guy during the day.
Okay, so since you're a coach, how confident are you that, because a lot of coaches will look at a guy and think, I can help him, I can work with him. Do you think it's possible to take a guy who is inaccurate in throwing the football and be able to work with him on accuracy?
Yes, absolutely. Look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts against the Huskies in the 2016 Peach Bowl couldn't hit the side of a barn with a freaking beach ball, for God's sakes. And he got benched in the national championship game at halftime against Clemson that same year. How about Tyler Huntley? Tyler Huntley was grossly inaccurate at Utah, and now he's in the NFL as a freaking Pro Bowler for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not saying that Tyler Huntley deserved to be a Pro Bowler, but he's a Pro Bowler, and he's in the NFL and just got a contract from the Ravens. So we've seen it with a ton of guys. Josh Allen did not have great accuracy when he was in college either, and look at him now. So I'm not saying that Anthony Richardson is going to go down that same road that those guys went down, but I think it's kind of becoming obvious the NFL is looking for a 5-tool guy at quarterback and not just a pocket passer. So, yeah, you can coach that stuff for sure.
We're talking with Dave Softy Mahler here on the Rip City Drive. All right, Pete Carroll and John Schneider hit it out of the park last year with the draft. Not to mention they got 2 starting tackles, which is unheard of. Have they rediscovered that magic, that synergy that makes those two guys so great? Or, how do you explain the drought that they had through the drafts? Was it just lack of assets and having higher picks? And now that they've got that, they're going to be able to rediscover that magic. How do you make sense of that?
Well, I just think last year it wasn't just the tackles. I mean, they found a starting corner, a starting right tackle, a starting left tackle, a starting running back in Kenny Walker, obviously. So 4 starters right there with those 4 guys. And then Kobe Bryant and Boye Mafe played a ton last year for the Seahawks as well. So, yeah, they hit a home run. I mean, look, there's obviously some luck. No question about it in regards to this draft. John Schneider has talked about on record in the last couple of weeks that maybe sometimes they got a little bit too cute instead of just going after the best player available on their board, that maybe sometimes they did reach a little bit. So maybe they are getting back to their roots. But look, Chad, that draft run they had from 2010 to 2012 when they found Hall of Famers all over the place, Pro Bowlers all over the place, they may never have that kind of luck again. So are they back? Do they have the Midas touch back? I got no idea, man. We'll see what happens starting tomorrow.
All right, one final question about the draft then. So tomorrow night or through the weekend, I mean, the Seahawks draft is successful if they do what?
I think the Seahawks draft is successful if they get some guys on the interior of the offensive line and the defensive line that can reshape that line of scrimmage. I mean, to me, that's what they've been missing. That's their biggest problem. I mean, a couple years ago, instead of drafting Creed Humphrey, the center out of Oklahoma, who became an all-pro caliber player for Kansas City, they drafted a toy in D. Eskridge, who was a third wide receiver behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So to me, it's all about a philosophy, right? We can argue about the players, the individuals. Did they get the right guy? Did they get the wrong guy? Blah, blah, blah. Who really knows for a couple years? But they have holes on that line of scrimmage that need to be addressed starting tomorrow.
All right, 2 more questions for you, Softy. The attendance at the UW spring game, how good was it? You were there. There have been people taking pop shots at Washington, which you think is unfair, but you were there. How was the experience, and how many people showed up?
Oh, it was much better than that stupid picture you saw on Twitter. There's no question about it. I mean, that guy took a picture of the crowd at 1 o'clock, and if you look at that picture, the players aren't even out there, Chad. They're in the locker room, for God's sakes. The game hadn't even started yet, okay? So I thought it was a bunch of BS, to be honest with you. Look, UW is never going to get the greatest spring crowd ever. They're just not, all right? If they can get 65,000, 70,000 people in there on game day, they're happy. But the spring game is just never going to be a big event here in the city of Seattle, and it never will be. So I don't know, man. I mean, to me, that stuff is just crazy that people throw that stuff out there. Who gives a damn about the frickin' spring game? You know what I care about? I care about 11-2 and beating Oregon at Autzen Stadium last year, winning the Apple Cup and knocking off Sark and almost tripling the win total from Jimmy Lake's first year. That's what I care about.
How great was it to meet Linda Cohn?
Awesome. She's cute, man. She is really cute. I got to be honest with you. I've been a big fan of hers for a long time. And the fact that she sat down next to me at the Kraken game, I was almost kind of starstruck. And I don't get that way very often, dude.
No, it was great, man. I love her. She's one of the best. All right, the experience, you were there. You've had a chance to see the games. What's it been like there at Climate Pledge with the Kraken in that first playoff experience?
Yeah. It's been crazy. And really the cool thing about the Kraken is they've grown in just the last 3 or 4 months. I mean, you go into this season, you really don't have a rivalry with a player or a team. And now all of a sudden you got a kind of, sports hate thing going on with Tyler Myers after he knocked Matty Beniers out before the All-Star game in the Vancouver Canucks. And now there's even more sports hate with Colorado and Cale Makar after what he did to Jared McCann a couple of days ago. So it's just amazing how this fan base has grown, how the franchise has grown in just the last 3 or 4 months. But you go to a game, the crowd's into it. They're singing the national anthem. They're getting after the referees. They're getting after the opposing players. It doesn't feel like a second-year franchise, man, at all. You got to get your butt up here and go to a game, by the way.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, where are you and Dick going to be broadcasting from today? What's going on?
So we are at Gators Pub in Kent on 84th for our annual mock draft. Hugh Millen, who once back in the day played in the National Football League, former Patriot, former Falcon, former Ram,
former Bronco,
among other teams.
Yeah,
a former Bronco. That's right. He's with us doing the mock draft today, and then tomorrow we're going to be at the VMAC, the Seahawks facility, starting at 3:00 on both Friday and Thursday.
Hey, ask him about the overtime victory he led for the Broncos over the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Man, he was awesome.
Okay. Hey, Hugh, I'm supposed to ask you about the overtime victory against Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium with the Denver Broncos. Do you remember that, by the way?
Yeah, no, it was a good day for the Broncos. Yeah, we hit Shannon Sharp on a third down to get us into position for a field goal. Yeah, I remember in the huddle, Elway had got hurt. It's the fourth quarter. The game's on the line, obviously, in overtime. I was yelling in the huddle as loud as I could physically, and the linemen still, everybody's trying to, what? It was so ferociously loud, and I'd say fun, great environment.
And
there you go, Chad. Hope you got all that, by the way.
No, it was beautiful, man. I got it all. He was terrific. So, hey, Softy, I appreciate the time. Have fun. Good luck with the draft, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, bud. See you. Bye.